I just did the final in-training examination, also stands for ITE exam, for my third year in medical residency in internal medicine here in Savannah, Georgia. And at this point, I've done a whole lot of very long tests, computer-based tests. And I've already done other videos explaining test taking strategies. I will just add a little bit upon that, and at the end of this video I'll probably share a link into some specific techniques on how to improve your test taking skills. So I will start off talking with this in-training examination. So you get a grade. You are the only one who will see the grade, and your program director. No one else will know what grade you got. And what's interesting is that gives the opportunity of you to maybe become complacent and take it easy on yourself. So when I started in my current program, I remember several residents that said, oh, don't take it serious on the first year, because if you do too well on the first year, that will mean you will have to work way harder to get a better grade on your second year. So the program wants to see improvement over time, and that's why take it easy on the first year, and progressively take it more seriously. That didn't make any sense to me, because how will you assess at what level you're at if you're just taking it easy on the exam? You should give your best try on every single year of many years your training lasts. So usually it's a yearly test. This test is similar to the very long USMLE Step 1, Step 2 CK. It's a very similar beast, but of course it's not that anxiety generating compared to those others, because you're already accepted into a program. You are training in a program, and you're busy in different rotations. You might be in ICU, and you might have to do this test while you're in ICU. Of course, they'll clear up the day for you to take the test. And there are several things that factor in, but remember that complacency isn't something that you should accept in this exam. The only way you'll know at what level you're at and how you can improve is if you give it your 100%. So at the end of the exam, actually, it's something nice, because you will receive feedback specifically regarding which questions you got incorrect. It won't tell you the exact question. It will sort of point you towards what topic in particular you have to work on. So that's great. That's pretty good. And how will you know if you were just being mediocre throughout the whole test? It's not an excuse, okay? So I want you to take this test seriously from first year. That's what I did on first year, and I did very well on first year. And that doesn't mean that I have the opportunity to slack off in the other years. It means that I have to force myself to do better on the next years. If I do a little bit worse, who cares? Maybe I have to work harder next year. But try to give it your best bet. So what I mean by this is you have to work on your environment. You have to reduce any excuses you might come up with. So I don't want you saying on test day, oh, I ate too much fast food, and I ate this thing that I usually don't eat, and I had diarrhea towards the final 2 blocks, and that's why I did bad. No, we need you to control the variables. So that's very important. So that takes me to the next topic. Okay, maximize absolutely everything you can. You're going to arrive there in the morning, and probably your program will provide you with breakfast. But you don't have to eat that breakfast. So for example, I don't even remember what was for breakfast during my test today, because I took food from home, okay? I took things that were made and prepared at home, and this I didn't eat. I'll eat it in a second. But I had breakfast here at home, and before that I actually prepared more at home. So I woke up and I knew that it's a long test. It was from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Yes, there's a 1-hour break there during lunch, but it's 5 blocks of about 6 blocks of 50 questions each. So it's a total of 300 questions. It's a lot of questions. And you'll have about an hour, 10 minutes for every block. And you have to manage time wisely. So these special tests that are so long, it's not only your knowledge base. It's also, can you consistently maintain your energy levels and your concentration level to actually be consistent? Because it doesn't work that you just get there and you have all the energy on the first 2 blocks. Guess what? You have another 4 blocks to go. And in the end, when you get a grade, you will have no idea how you did on the first 2 blocks. You'll know how you did on the whole test. You'll get a percentile. This is your percentile compared to your year of training in such and such areas. Okay, in cardiology, this percentile, in gastroenterology, this percentile, and all that, you will also get a percentile overall. Okay, so compete against yourself. These tests are marathons, so if you're a good sprint runner, if you're great at doing tests quick, this isn't probably the test you want to do quick, because you can try to power through it, but probably there's not many human beings that will be able to go unbroken on all the blocks. I'm not sure if anyone has done it. It would be interesting, and it would be a nice feat, but I'm sure it wouldn't be good for health, and I'm not planning on being the first one to try it. I've done 3 blocks unbroken in the past. Not sure if 4, I think not 4, but 6 unbroken. It's probably counterintuitive, and it definitely won't help you out. Your brain has an attention span, and of course, that's why you have to take every single break you can take. Okay, So I got sidetracked there a little bit. I'll go back to how you should prepare before you go to the test. So in the morning, you need energy for the test. If it's a 1-hour test, just go and do the test. 2 hours, who cares? But if you're telling me that it is a 300 question test that you'll be there like 8 or 10 hours, you have to be wise about it. So what do I mean by be wise? You have to rest well the day prior. You shouldn't go to sleep very late that day prior. You want to take it easy. You want to do things that relax you. So you want to see a movie. Yesterday I was seeing funny clips, and that's what I was seeing before bedtime. And I was just laughing before I fell asleep, and that's what I did. I slept well. Woke up today, and I knew that there was the time constraint, so I just had a little bit of minutes to maybe boost my energy, so I worked out. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't go 1 hour that way, 1 hour. No, I jumped rope for 10 minutes straight, nonstop. I just got up, went to the garage, got the jump rope, and started. Didn't negotiate with my brain. Am I going to do this or am I not going to do this? By the time my brain understood we were awake, I already had 2 minutes in, jump in rope. And when I finished, I was already wide awake and I was ready to tackle the day. So that helped me because, of course, well, that helped me move my bowels. That helped me do my different physiological things, wake you up, circadian rhythm, all that. And that's important because you don't want to be sort of waking up when you're in the middle of a block, okay? So what happened? I woke up, I ate like 3 or 4 eggs. I found out that is very light on my stomach, and most people probably will tolerate it well. It won't generate a carb crash. You won't be falling asleep during the test. I drank just a little bit of matcha. So my wife prepared me matcha, which has caffeine content, and it was specifically thought for that because I never drink caffeine. I only drink caffeine as a superpower whenever I have to take these 8 to 10 hour tests, or whenever I have to drive back from Miami, which is going to be like an 8-hour drive. Yeah, I'll use caffeine there. No other occasion. So I can actually use it as a real superpower, and I'm not caffeine tolerant, so it definitely helps me. So I took the matcha, started sipping on it a little bit in the morning. I just drank a little bit. I wanted to get to the test just feeling as if I had just overcome that thirst. Because if you drink too much, you're in the first block and you really want to pee. You really want to urinate, and you'll have to pause the test, and it would be like weird behavior, and you can even get into trouble, or you have to hold the urge for the next 40 minutes. You won't be thinking about the question, but you will be thinking on holding the stream from actually breaking out. So you want to just drink enough. You want to take with you your coffee mug or your matcha. I wouldn't recommend energy drinks because what an energy drink will do, or if you take a whole lot of coffee at once, it'll boost your energy levels, and then you'll crash down in the next block or blocks. So you want this constant, slowly ramping up. So when I got there, I had already had breakfast. I had already worked out, and I just served myself a little bit of coffee just in case they had some coffee. I had it there just in case I needed it. In the end, I drank 1/8 of a cup of coffee, just a sip after lunch. So then the test started. I was ready to go. I didn't have to urinate. I didn't have to have a bowel movement. I was widely awake. I was ready to tackle the thing. I was motivated. I was happy. I was rested. So I start the test, and when I start the test, I finished the 50 questions, and I had like 18 minutes left. So then I started checking the old questions. So what do I want you to do when you're on these tests? These tests aren't so tricky. You either know the answer or you don't. These aren't tests that they will try to trick you severely, because if you have to do 300 questions, yeah, there might be a little bit of a trick or a little bit of a twist, but it won't be so extreme that you will have to stay on a question for 2 or 3 minutes. That's not the idea. So if by 1 minute you don't have an answer, just cross out whatever's not the answer for you, highlight whatever's the most relevant information, and mark it or flag it. Go on to the next question. Don't make this become an ego battle. Don't make this personal. The question has no life. The question cannot attack you back. This has happened to me in the past, which is that you have a difficult question, and what you do is that you just stay focused on it, and you're like, I won't move on to the next question until I answer this right. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to get in deep trouble, and this happens over and over, and this is the result of horrible time management, because then this question takes you 4 minutes, and maybe a couple more took you 4 minutes, and when you notice you're in question number 40, and you have 5 minutes left, and you still have to answer 10 more questions, and when are you going to check those that you marked? You won't have time. So this happened to me early on. It doesn't happen to me anymore because I don't take it personal against these questions. I just enjoy the question, and whatever I have at 1 minute mark, this after you do many questions, you don't need a chronometer. You don't need to be looking at the time. You'll feel it. It'll feel natural to you. So some specifics of test taking I'll tell you later, but basically just once you have read the question, do it quick, mark something, move on to the next, because they will give you points for what you marked correct. If you marked a question incorrect, you won't get a deduction. So make sure to mark all the questions with something. You don't want any question to be in blank. There's no excuse for that. So once you finish the whole thing, I want you to use the time. Actually use it. If you have 15 minutes left, go check the ones you marked. Probably if you were going so fast, you maybe marked 10 questions. So go look at all the marked questions. If it's such a long test day, 8 to 10 hours, I would just see the marked ones. I wouldn't try to go one by one question because it might burn you out before time. So use time wisely. Just look at the marked ones and make sure you mark wisely. So whatever you didn't mark, it means you actually chose an answer and you're fine with it and you're in peace with that. Meaning that if you go to it again later on during the test, you won't change it. So there's no need to go back to it. Just go to the ones you marked, the ones you are like, oh, it's this or this. Or the one that you said, I'll choose this option, but I have no idea. Or the one that it was a huge paragraph and you're like, I don't have time for this. Like, okay, I'm going to see what the question says. I just looked at the EKG. You can see ST elevation everywhere. So you're like, okay, an option is pericarditis. Yeah, that's it. And I'm moving on to the next one. I'll mark it. And when I finish, I'll come back if I have time. So that's what you want to do. I would recommend you guys that if you're able to maintain consistent energy, you use every single second the test gives you. So me personally, I wait till time goes out. Usually I'm still checking marked ones, or maybe I just finished checking marked ones and then it's time like T minus 20 seconds. And sometimes I just rest there, start resting till the clock goes out. Once the clock goes out, you're in break. As soon as you're in break, get out of there, move, get out of there. If you have your watch, get your watch, put the chronometer on, put it immediately on. 10 minutes, whatever the break is. Let's say break is 10 minutes. Put on the chronometer at or stop, chronometer to tell you when it's 9 minutes. You get out of there, walk, move. You will be sitting for about 8 hours. Don't keep on sitting. Don't keep on doing the same thing. You want to move. If there's sunlight outside and you can get a little bit of sun, do that. Go to the sun. Do whatever will work for you to maintain the best energy levels throughout the whole test day. So probably people who see me during test day, they'll see that, oh, yeah, I'll smile and everything, but I won't engage in these long conversations. I won't start talking about things from the hospital. I will just be focused. So what I do is when I get out of break, when I get into the break, I will just go walk a little bit on my own, maybe listen to something soothing, breathe in, breathe out, do several of those, improve oxygenation, improve circulation, do tiptoes. So in the first blocks, since you already are physically active, you've been moving about and all that, you don't need to do any sort of exercise. But after 3 or 4 blocks, your body starts getting a little bit more tired. That's when you want to, before that, you want to start drinking during the breaks, your coffee, a little bit more sips of coffee or matcha or whatever you have with caffeine. If you're completely caffeine dependent, probably you'll have to use energy drinks, right? Which I would advise against if possible. And then when you're during these breaks after 3 blocks, what I personally do and what I recommend you to do is, can you do some squats? Can you do some tiptoes? Can you do some dips using a chair? You can do dips using triceps, doing triceps extensions, or you can also do push-ups. Those are all the exercises you might need during test day that will maintain your endorphins, your endogenous catecholamines running and maintain the energy level. So I use that so I don't have to depend on energy drinks, caffeine, and all that. I'm telling you, I just, with one caffeinated beverage, that's all, and I don't need any more. So that means that my levels of endogenous catecholamines will be consistent throughout the whole test, because that's what you want. You don't want to do what many people do, which is you see them leaving and they finish the whole test within 3 hours or 4 hours. If you can and you have the energy and the consistency, you want to be one of the last persons to leave. They're not grading you on how fast you do the test. They're grading you on how many questions you got correct. So if you have 300 questions, dedicate the time needed for those 300 questions. So if you're extremely fast reader and you're extremely smart, okay, I understand maybe you, with everything taken into account, you maybe left 1 hour earlier. But if not, use all the time you can, because they're not deducting points for staying there till being the last one. So for example, today, I took the test today and I was the last one to leave. That makes me happy because I left no stone unturned. I maintained my pace during this marathon and I stayed there till the end, and I gave it all, and I gave it all the energy to all these 300 questions. Of course, towards the end, there's a couple questions that you'll be there towards the last 2 blocks, probably you'll feel tired. You'll feel like, oh man, another question. But you have to just power through it. You have to, at that point, just power through it. For example, I thought there were 5 blocks. So right before, when I finished the 5th block, I saw that break time said 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh man, is there another block? So my motivation levels fell. But this isn't a matter of motivation. This is a matter of being driven, right? You have been called to show what your capacity is, what your level is. And the only way you'll show your real level is giving it your all. So I saw that there was 1 more to go. What did I do? I said, no, I have to work out a little bit more. So I went immediately, and in that 10-minute break time, maybe it took me 1 to 2 minutes to do all the dips I could, triceps extensions, and also tiptoes in front of the wall. I maybe did 50 till my calves muscles were pretty fatigued. That's good, because then you sit down and you have no problem just sitting down, because you've been active the whole day, you've been moving the whole day. And remember, the musculovenous pump, visa tergo, visa fronte, and negative pressure with inspiration, with all the venous return, that's circulating the blood, and that's helping your brain make better decisions. answering better. So other than that, imagine I enjoyed this test so much that on my piece of paper, I took notes of questions that I was like, this is interesting. I want to go review that at home. So I did that. Although I will receive a report, like a report card, tell me which topics I have to work on. I have things written down such as sarcoid, asymptomatic sarcoid, incidental finding. What's the treatment? Should I just observe the patient or should I do X, Y, or Z? And I have a whole lot of things written down here. Why? Because this is to generate my marginal gains. I want to boost myself or improve myself all I can from this exam. So this isn't only passive learning, this is active learning, all I can actually apply. And that's what I would recommend you doing. Of course, if writing down things would make you get delayed from answering questions, don't do it, because you don't want to then have the excuse to say, oh, I got a bad grade because I was writing little notes on my piece of paper. No, I was writing notes because I felt sufficiently energetic. I had already gone through all my marked ones and I was ready to actually write some things there. So don't compromise the test result just doing extra things that won't factor into the grade unless you think you can handle it. So other than that, I can tell you to give it your all. Pain is temporary. If other people have survived this test, you can also survive this test. And yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Test yourself. Enjoy it. Breathe in, breathe out. And during the test, if you're like me, that you concentrate so much, you focus so much, my eyes would get extremely red. And when I would finish the test, people would ask me like, hey, what's up with your eyes? Your eyes look horrible. And yeah, why did that happen? I actually never figured out what was happening until my wife told me when she saw me studying for USMLE Step 2 CK. She told me one day, hey, I was seeing you take this test and you didn't blink like for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or several minutes. And I was like, And that's how I figured out why my eyes were getting red during these long tests. They shouldn't get red. And what should you do? What did I do today? Which for the first time in a test of 8 to 10 hours, my eyes didn't get horribly red. I just, during the test or in the break periods, I would just close, open, and you can feel your own lacrimal glands and secondary glands in there generating enough lubrication. You probably don't need eye drops. If you do that, it's gonna work. So that's the other thing I recommend you doing. And that's it. When you're in break time, it's not time for socializing, for making friends. It's time for you doing whatever suits you and will help you maintain your energy and concentration. If that means you have to go walk and not talk to anybody, do that. And then you can give the people a disclaimer and tell them, hey, this is what I have to do because I just have to do this. It doesn't mean that I'm angry with you or anything. I'll just be a little serious. If you guys want, after the test, we can go for a beer or we can go for a walk or socialize, etc., okay? If what works for you is just laughing with everyone and talking around and all that, which isn't my case during the test, well, if it works for you, do you, okay? So that's it for ITE training examination. And this is for any computer-based test or any test that is very long, that is a marathon instead of a sprint. I hope this helps you out, and I will leave probably right over here another video about test taking strategies with the specifics of what to do whenever you are in these computer-based tests. I hope this helped out, and I wish you all the best of luck. See you in the next episode.